You know, and that's the way I felt about a lot of the guys that were, you know, Marty Jannetty was another one. You know, he was there. Like, I didn't miss a beat. And I hadn't spoken to Marty in over a year. Don Morocco I hadn't spoken to. It's got to be 5 years at least. Maybe longer, maybe 10. I don't know. It's been so long. And it's like he didn't miss a beat. You know, so, I forgot your original question, but I go off on a rant like that. Especially when I've had very little sleep after 2 days of, well, one day of babysitting Scott Hall, and the other day trying to avoid him, you know. But don't get me wrong. When the Scott Hall I knew and loved and liked and all that wasn't the Scott Hall that I saw and met. I mean, I don't want to get into details, but when he's in a sober state of mind, he's okay, he's fine. But his demons get the best of him, and when he becomes very ugly and becomes somebody I don't recognize and don't know, you know, I don't like, you know, you know. So
that's one thing that's very upsetting to me in the world of wrestling is that so many people let their demons take the best of them.
Well, you know, I mean, you can either control that beast, or it can control you.
Yeah.
And I, you know, myself, I mean, we all have. I think a lot of people out there have their vices. You know, some people like to have a few drinks in the evening, or some people, as long as, you know, you can control it and it doesn't control you, and anything in moderation, you know, is the key. I mean, I go to the gym every day. Oh, I missed this weekend. But I mean, I go to the gym every day, and I'll come home and I'll have my protein drinks and I'll do all that. But in the evening, when my wife comes home and I'll have dinner, I like to have a couple beers, and you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm not going to let 2 get to the point where it's 20, you know. Or if I can't sleep one night and I have to take a prescribed sleeping pill from a doctor, I'm not going to let 1 turn into 10. It's, you know, it's crazy.
Do you know if Jake's on better track, or is he still?
Jake was there. He brought his assistant. I think he's the woman that handles his MySpace. I think her name is Shannon. Todd, you may know a little bit better about that than I would. But her name is Shannon. And he came in. We had lunch. He came in off the plane. He came in with Marty. We had lunch together, and he seemed fine. You know, I know there's something on YouTube about an incident that happened in Ohio. I think it was Ohio.
Yeah, there was mentioned online that supposedly he got drugged during a match. Before the match.
Yeah, well, he had just gotten there, and I just met his friend, girlfriend, pal, you know, whatever, or assistant, whatever you want to call her. And she seemed very nice, and we were in mixed company, so I didn't think it was appropriate to bring it up at that time. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see him again. You know, he kept a low profile. He probably did his business. Like I said, a lot of guys, they did what they had to do, and they got out of there. You know, it wasn't like anybody lingered around. You know, I lingered around for 2 days. It's kind of like we've got some construction going on here at the, you know, where I live, so I figured, well, let me take advantage of being a little bit away from home. You know. So what do you guys got going on? You got a little radio show going on? Where could I tune in and hear this?
Yeah, it's
you have to go to Yahoo or Google.
Oh, well, I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to hang up with you guys and go to bed when you're done asking me questions.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll ask you one more question.
Sure.
The Wrestler movie.
Okay.
I think Todd told me that you helped out with that.
Yeah, well, actually, I was going to try and make it there tonight. Was the last premiere. I think it premiered twice already. Someplace overseas. I believe it premiered in Toronto, and it was premiering in New York this evening. In Tribeca, somewhere down there. And I was just too tired and exhausted to go over and see it. But I heard it got good reviews.
Yeah.
My part in it is a simple locker room scene part where I had a couple lines with Mickey Rourke. Now, whether it's used or not, I have no idea. You know, a lot of stuff they film hours and hours of footage, and what ends up on the floor and what ends up on the reel or the disc these days, I don't know how they do it. But I don't know. You know, I don't know. If I hope it ends up in there, it'd be great. It'd be nice. It'd be something nice.
Do you know what the movie's about? Because
I mean, you can get the synopsis off the internet, but I mean, I didn't get a script or anything like that. What my lines were with Mickey Rourke were ad lib, you know.
Yeah.
But I believe the synopsis would be it's like a Rocky of wrestling, you know, where a guy who is retired from professional wrestling, and there's parallels in my life and other wrestlers' lives. Someone who's retired with wrestling and the wrestling business is done with them, or they're done with it, or it's more than likely the wrestling business is done with you before you're done with it.
Yeah.
And anyway, he gets himself a menial labor job, and he does independent shows on the weekend, and he wants to make this one big comeback against his arch enemy back in the day, who was played by Ernest the Cat Miller. And Mickey Rourke hooks up, he befriends a former go-go dancer, stripper, whatever. He's trying to he's trying to reacquaint himself and get back together and have a relationship with he's got a 22-year-old daughter who's played by Keira Knight, Cedric, I don't know. It's a three-part name. You'd have to check it out on the air. But anyway, that's kind of like, in my opinion, it's a Rocky type movie for wrestling.
Okay, Jim, before we let you go, do you have any upcoming shows you want to hype or anything?
Yeah, well, I'm supposed to be doing a show. I'm scheduled to do a show in Brooklyn on November 15th. It's for FCW Wrestling.
Is that the Mr. Big guy?
No, that's not Mr. Big. That's I don't know the gentleman's name. I think FCW stands for Forgotten Championship Wrestling, something like that. I think if you Google it, you could find the website that'll send you to.
And I'd just like to congratulate your Jets and Brett Favre on another big win today.
Yeah, very good. I was happy to see that. And I was also happy to see Miami lose, because, if you're a Jet fan, you're obviously against Miami.
The Patriots lost tonight, too.
Yeah, I was watching that, which is good for the Jets. The Patriots lost because they're in the same division.
All right, Jim.
So
thank you so much for everything.
All right, guys, very good.
Hopefully I'll see you at your Brooklyn show. That's kind of close for me, so.
Okay, fantastic.
And if not, I hope I see you before that.
Very good.
Take care.
Take care, guys. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Wow, this show is the #1 show now. We got a celebrity calling our show.
We got the man, the myth, the legend,
Jim Powers for 20 minutes on the air.
Who would have thought?
You radio DJs that have other shows on here, you guys cannot get that. I tell you though, I can get him on the air. Snap my finger, we send a little instant message. We got him on the air.
And forget it.
I hope Panik taped that interview. I don't know if he did on either audio or video.
Panik's a little upset that we got Jim Powers.
But we got him on the air, though. That's entertaining.
Who would have thought Jim Powers would actually call in?
Yeah, at 11:49, we just gave him a 1-minute notice, though, and he's like...
I mean, wow.
Discuss the Scott Hall thing, your questions about the movie, everything. So.
Well, you know what? I'm wondering what this whole situation he didn't want to go into detail about that happened Saturday.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and find out about that. Hopefully,
I'm shocked WrestleZone doesn't have anything up on it.
Hopefully, something goes on YouTube about that.
So, wow. I don't. Who could have thought?
Next thing you know, we'll get Kurt Menefield in Fox Studios to call here.
Just
kidding around.
No.
I'm kidding.
What? But really? Oh my God!
That's something here.
All right. Well,
this wraps up the edition of Sports Talk. Panik will be back next week
if he decides to show up again.
And this was a great show. Great cap off.
Yeah.
Hopefully, people are actually listening to that because we had the biggest name here on the show.
Yeah. All right, well, that does it, and we're going to go.
Next week,
it's great.
Next week, update on the MLB playoff race, what's going on. Maybe we'll get the World Series by then. National Football League scores and highlights. Any other wrestling news going on. Slack in, you have a chance to get your story again next week, so we'll see if he does it finally.
And I'll be back October 26th. I'll be at the Jet game during the day, and then hopefully, if it's okay with Panik and Mr. Vessel, I'll be back at that night.
We'll see about that, and he's a great host, though. He's a great co-host here, so we might get him again as a special guest. And hopefully Jeremy Blumstein was listening, because he always wants to be on our show, and he cannot show up ever. I don't know what his problem is, but that will do it for this show, though. Thanks for listening to Sports Talk, and have a good evening. That's it.
Have a good one.